Well, first of all, it's an opportunity to travel with our teams and be with our young men and women and see what they do on a typical road trip. So leaving out yesterday, getting on the bus, you have a movie playing, everyone's relaxed, and then, first thing we do, we check into our hotel at the DoubleTree downtown Nashville, and then we come over here. So it gives me an opportunity to see what their day's like, leading up to a game the day before, and then obviously now here at shoot around, and just get an opportunity to understand the work that's involved for not only our student athletes, but for our staff too, to prepare them for the game. For me, the opportunity to go to Nashville again, first and foremost, be with our staff and student athletes, but then also see, some of our counterparts. Belmont, which is a new school in our league, and we're so excited to have them, the success they had in their previous conference, and now bringing that success to the OVC. Have an opportunity to see this arena here, very nice arena, about 8 years old, seats about 5,000 people. When you have a school that brings facilities and talent like that, it just helps the league. And so for me to have the opportunity to spend some time with Mike Strickland, who's their director of athletics, and to show me around campus, I found that very valuable. I'm going to do the same thing at Tennessee State when I meet with Teresa Phillips, who's their athletic director as well. Well, the season's been great. I know that everyone wants to be undefeated. We want to win every game, but where we stand, I feel very good where we stand as compared to last year, and how our team is coming together and playing well. And playing as a team has been very important. The non-conference schedule, I believe, prepared us. Playing at Kansas, playing at University of Missouri, going to Chattanooga to play 3 games back to back to back has really prepared us for season play. We started undefeated, 2-0 in conference play. Very pleased with the support that we had for the Murray game this past Saturday, even though our students were out. But quite a bit of students showed up. Fans showed up for us to call. Close to 5,000 people, 500 students being in session. That's a great thing. And then for me, Coach Nutt always jokes around, hey, why would you want to go on this trip? Because we're competing against the preseason favorites in the East Division, Belmont and Tennessee State. But for me, it's an opportunity again just to be able to go on a road trip and see 2 of our fellow institutions. It's very positive. So right now, I'm very pleased with the season is. But again, when you go on a road trip like this, it's critical that you have success. So that's important for the conference to get a team like Belmont in our league. A team that has been to the NCAA tournament, for so many years. A team that raises the exposure, of the conference. It raises that RPI. It raises the visibility. Some people might say, why bring a team that's so good? I say, why not? Because bring a team like this, the competition level increases, and that could be nothing but good, for the team. When you have the top that keeps getting better, eventually that bottom rises up, so it increases the overall strength of our conference, which is a good thing. Oh, sure. I mean, community outreach in general, very important. Obviously it's good to have a presence, within the Cape Jackson community. I feel that that's very important, so people get to know, what you're all about, what our program's all about, and also try to build off that excitement of the vision that you might have. But it's also important to reach out to, alums up in the St. Louis area. Alums, I always say this, and people get tired of me saying this, that I-55 corridor from St. Louis to Memphis. Be able to reach out to, alums, whether they're, potential prospective students at the university, or maybe they're just fans. It's always great for us to go out and be able to touch those folks so that they feel connected and feel a part of what we're doing. So the 1-2-3 Club was just an opportunity for that exposure, so to speak, in the St. Louis area. When you have opportunity to be able to sit down with folks that are heavily involved and have so much influence in the sports market in the St. Louis area, whether it's from a media perspective, whether former athletes, former coaches, whatever the case might be, from the high school, the collegiate, professional level, as what that club represents. It's good to be a part of that. And it's good for people to know, hey, what we're doing down here, only been an hour and 45 minutes away from St. Louis, is very important. So you'll see more of that, and more of that's to come for people who follow us, and people need to recognize what the Redhawks are all about. And I'm excited for that opportunity to show them what we're all about. Yeah, first of all, just going back to that Murray State game, I received so many messages, whether it was a text message, a phone call, something via email, but just how great the Show Me Center looked on national TV. The Redhawk emblem right there on the floor, the environment that was there, the ESPN talent that came in the game. They sought me out after the game, and obviously they said, hey, wish you guys could have won, but what a great atmosphere that you're in here. And I was pleased for the effort by our students being on break. We had a decent student turnout. You know, the student government organized a bus, you know, from St. Louis to come down and bring some kids to the game. Res Life said about 30 to 40 people took advantage of staying overnight after that game and did not charge them. So just that type of partnership opportunities, you know, with our students is great. So, you know, I say our next line of business for our students is, you know, we have several conference games left, and we need their support. We need that sixth man in the Show Me Center. And the energy level that was there at the game at Murray State this past Saturday, you know, we want to see that increase, you know, over the course of the season. So the next bit of business, so to speak, is just be able to still, you know, reach out to our students, reach out to our fans who are probably hearing the buzz of how hard our team plays and how exciting the atmosphere is, and then try to get them out to the Show Me Center. You know, we're so excited about the, you know, how the winter sports are progressing right now with men's and women's basketball. But, you know, on deck and ready to tee up is, you know, women's gymnastics, and then also you have indoor track and field. So the winter semester is going right now, and it's, as you know, in athletics, it's nonstop. So, you know, our next piece of business is being able to get our fans out to our games and be able to see that excitement. Southeast Missouri State University welcomes you back. The athletics welcomes you back, and look forward to you guys having a successful spring semester and come out and support the Redhawks.